fascinating to watch this woman. She's a case study in narcissism. We thought Amber Heard was bad. Now we have a Jennifer McCabe. Oh, busted. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't delete just 2 or 3 of them. I deleted an entire cluster of 20 phone calls. Jennifer just admitted to destroying evidence, by the way. Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to your favorite show on the internet, Raw Law Unfiltered, with your favorite host of all time, the DUI Guy Plus. Today, you're going to hear some very heavy stuff. You're going to get a chance to listen to the 911 tape, and I want you to pay attention to Jennifer McCabe's face as she attempts to manufacture emotion. Oh, how much difficulty she has in the manufacturing of emotion. How much evil is lying beneath the surface. How she is almost on the cusp of changing her face, and then Alan, boom, interrupts it right as it begins, because he knows, he can sense, just like any of us can, that the emotion is not genuine, and he wants to interrupt the process because he's the one in control, not Jennifer McCabe. And to Jennifer McCabe, it is a brand new territory to not be in control. This is a narcissistic, manipulative woman who does not know the answer. No. When Jennifer McCabe speaks, you listen. When Jennifer McCabe says, you go do, you go do. If you, God forbid, even have the inclination, the inkling to go, Ms. McCabe, no. Be prepared for the wrath of the devil to be unleashed upon thee. I think we all know that to be a fact by now.
You called 911 at 6:04 a.m. Is that right?
Yes.
Your Honor, with the court's permission, Exhibit 36 has already been marked and entered. I would ask to play a portion of that 911 tape, not the entirety of it.
Okay.
With the court's permission, I'd ask to play about runtime 130 to 145. If you can wait 2 seconds and pause it. Ready? Yes. Do you recognize the voice on that tape?
Yes, that's mine.
That appear to be a true and accurate, at least that portion, a true and accurate recording of the 911 call that you made that morning?
It was a very brief clip. I'd have to hear more.
Go ahead and play, starting at runtime 130 to about runtime 145.
46 years old.
46, how long has he been outside?
I don't know. I don't know. He got out of the car and
Stop. Was that you?
Yes, that was.
Is that the 911 call?
Yes, it was.
And what did you just say?
I said, I don't know. He got out of the car.
He got out of the car,
Mm-hmm.
is what you said, correct?
Yes.
And this was at 6:03 in the morning, correct?
Correct.
This is before you ever talked to Brian Albert,
Correct.
before you ever talked to your sister Nicole Albert,
Correct.
before you ever talked to Chris Albert,
Correct.
before you ever talked to Julie Albert.
Correct.
You hadn't talked to anybody at this point other than Carrie Roberts, correct?
And Karen Reed.
And my client.
Correct.
And in that 911 call, you said he got out of the car, didn't you?
I did, because Karen Reed had told me that she had left him there.
Your words were, he got out of the car, correct?
Correct.
Did you make any other calls other than to 911?
I called my sister.
What time was that?
I believe it was after the 911, but I'm not sure.
You claim that your sister didn't answer. Is that right?
She did not answer.
But you do know that your phone extraction shows that that was an answered call at 6:07.
If that's what it shows, but I can tell you she did not answer the phone.
And you are sure about that? Is
Wait, the phone extraction is wrong? Jennifer, come on.
I certainly am, yes.
perfect. You also called her at 6:08.
I might have called her twice, yes.
You are unmuted.
Thanks, maybe you see the code session.
So, Mr. Jackson, is it all queued up, or do we need we need the witness, but were there any questions first, or were you just going to the video?
The questions and
Okay.
I'll ask them.
All right, let's bring Ms. McCabe in. Okay, whenever you're ready, Mr. Jackson.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ms. McCabe, I want to go back very briefly to something you said just before we broke, and that was in respect of the statements that you attribute to my client out of the scene. You said, well, there was an officer possibly asking questions, or it could have been a female EMT, and I wasn't answering questions about that, correct? Hence, you didn't say, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him.
Can you be clear on your question?
Let me rephrase that. Before we broke a few minutes ago, you had said, the reason I didn't say, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him, is because I was never asked. And the subject never came up about what an officer asked her when she declared that. So I just didn't offer it. And then you said, or it could have been an EMT.
Yes, I'm unclear who was there.
Isn't it true that at the grand jury, the question that was posed to you, and this is counsel page 208, grand jury. The question that was posed to you is, quote, so what happens next with yourself, Ms. Roberts, and Ms. Reed? And your answer was, so there are different, police officers getting statements from us. At one point, I'm standing with Ms. Reed, and she's saying, did I hit him? Could I have hit him? And there was, I believe, an EMT, a female, standing right next to me and listening to her yelling, did I hit him? Could I have hit him? Is he dead? Is he dead? Is he dead? Was pretty much nonstop. Remember that testimony?
I do.
So in point of fact, you were answering the direct question about what happened in front of the police officer and the EMT, correct?
There were multiple police officers and multiple EMTs present.
So now this is another
But
police
again,
officer in a
you're
different
still
unit.
not fully answering the question. You are evading giving a direct answer, Ms. McCabe, and that is suspicious.
I'm not saying that.
Okay. But nowhere in this did you say that she declared the words, I hate him. Correct? We'll agree on that.
Correct.
Boom! Nowhere in those statements did you ever say that she said, Karen Reed, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. Correct. Alan Jackson finally put the last nail in the coffin on the I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. That was fabricated, folks. That was fabricated in open court. And now it's clear. Now we know, the jury knows, the judge knows, the prosecutor knows, and Jennifer McCabe knew this whole time. Alan finally got it out of her.
Your Honor, I have an item I would like to have marked as next in order. With the court's
Okay.
permission. May I approach?
Yes.
By agreement, Your Honor, that will be Exhibit 96.
Thank you.
With the court's permission, I would like to play a portion of this and then stop it
Okay.
and ask the witness a couple of questions about it. Okay? It's audio only.
Pay attention to how Jennifer McCabe tries to manufacture emotion and how badly she's failing it. Watch as the camera zooms in on her.
Did you stop it? Ms. McCabe, I've paused the audio tape just to ask you a couple of foundational questions. Do you recognize what's on that audio tape?
Yes, that is my voice.
Okay. You recognize you starting a 911 call, correct?
Correct.
Similar to the call we just listened to a few minutes ago, which was the actual 911 call, correct?
What's the difference between the two of them?
I'm about to explain it. It's a confusing question, and I apologize. This appears to be an open voicemail overhearing your 911 call. Do you recognize that?
Now that you explain it, okay.
You hear a rhythmic boom, 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 boom.
The windshield wipers.
Okay, so that was my next question. That would have been an open voicemail that was recording inside the cab of the SUV that you were seated in, correct?
Correct.
Overhearing you call 911 and overhearing whatever else was going on, ambient noise at the scene, correct?
Correct.
Does that sound like a true and correct copy of at least the portion of the 911 call that you heard?
I have to listen to it again, but
Well, why don't we continue listening to it and see if you recognize it?
okay.
With the court's permission?
Yes.
It's about, by the way, it's about 4 minutes in total, Your Honor.
Okay.
Where's my head? I don't see legendary.
Could you pause it? Do you hear a person in the background screaming?
Yes,
Who is that?
Miss Reed.
Did you catch that? She tried to manufacture sadness, and then the minute Alan interrupted it, oh, we're back to questions. She did not have enough time to manufacture the sadness that she needed. Did you all catch that? Go back and watch it again. It's fascinating to watch this woman. It's like she's a case study in narcissism. We thought Amber Heard was bad. Now we have a Jennifer McCabe. Watch her face. When there is genuine emotion, the body makes involuntary movements that are associated with sadness and pain, displeasure. When you are completely stoic and all of a sudden you go from this to, that's how you know it is manufactured. It's one of the telltale signs. It's not always universal. There may be something like a triggering event, but this is an entire 4 minutes taking her back. She should have a memory of sadness. She doesn't have a memory of sadness. She has a memory of something else. Karen Reed has a memory of sadness. You can hear it in her screams on tape. Jennifer McCabe was not frantic. She was very calm, cool, and collected, and in control of the situation. See, watch her face, trying to manufacture feelings. All we get is a blank stare into an abyss. feeling anything at this juncture, it is disdain for Alan Jackson for making her having to listen to this in open court, because she knows she can't have the proper reaction to it, and she's upset at Alan Jackson for putting her on the spot of having to react to it, because she can't figure out what's the proper emotion that I need to be feeling right now. Keep watching her face. Glanced at the jury for just a second. And then when she noticed, oh, they're watching, her face starts to become a little bit more somber. And now it's again back to normal. Now she's just looking sleepy. Is she getting bored? Trying to tilt her head forward. She doesn't know how to feel, because feelings are very difficult to manufacture when they're not authentic. Unless you're a complete sociopath or a psychopath, in which case it's a lot easier. But clearly she's not having an easy time, and she doesn't know how to feel, so she's having trouble with it.
Mr. McCabe, did you hear the audio recording that we just marked into evidence?
I did. It was very muffled, and some parts were very hard to understand.
Understood. The person on the phone, who was that person?
I called 911.
And the person that was, for the most part, the person's voice that you could hear screaming, sounding sort of hysterical, who was that?
Karen.
Notice how the first question was simply, who was on the phone? The answer should have been, that was me. The answer was not, that was me. The answer was, that was me calling 911. Continuously volunteering information that is not being asked for in order to make sure that you're in control of the narrative. Another telltale sign. But then, who was the other voice that was screaming? Oh, that was Karen Reed. Not, I'm not sure, I'm not certain, I don't know, I believe. Immediately just, oh, Karen Reed, 100%. But when it's about her, oh, I gotta make sure that my narrative is protected.
Did you also hear Carrie Roberts' voice at various times in the background?
Yes.
And she was, for lack of a better word, trying to calm Karen down?
Yes.
At some point telling her to sort of just shut up, you're not helping.
Yes, exactly.
Because she was so hysterical and so upset.
Erratic.
Hysterical, upset. I don't know why she added the word erratic, but those are emotions that one would anticipate when they've just discovered the body of their dead significant other, or dying, or dead, injured, whatever. That's the kind of emotion you expect. Carrie Roberts and Jennifer McCabe being so calm, cool, and collected. Shut up, you're not helping. How do you say that to someone who just suffered a loss or is about to suffer a loss? It's beyond the pale. Their lack of emotionality, both Jennifer McCabe's and Carrie Roberts on scene, their lack of hysteria is very telling. What do you all think, chat? Tell me in the comments below what you make of this. The fact that Karen Reed is running around hysterically, terrified, mortified, sick to her stomach. Meanwhile, Jennifer McCabe is quietly calling 911 when there's a first responder literally living in the house where John O'Keefe's body is found. Why didn't she just knock on the door and be like, hey, Brian, can you come out here? Is there any way you can perform CPR? He was at the house. We know that morning he was at the house. Makes no sense. Makes zero sense. And then Carrie Roberts walking up to Karen and telling her that she needs to shut up. You're not helping the situation. Rather than consoling her, oh my God, I'm so sorry for your loss. This is so... What do you guys think? What do you make of that? What does that mean to you? How do you interpret this? I want to know your thoughts. Please comment. I'm very curious.
I want to play the rest of this. It appears that this recording is longer than your 911 call. You would agree with that?
Well, I'd have to see.
Well, the 911 call is already ended, correct?
I'm not sure how long was the 911 call.
Okay, this is about 3.5 minutes into a 4-minute recording. My only question is, would you agree that the 911 call is subsumed within this full 4-minute recording?
I couldn't make that from that muffled.
You couldn't tell?
I couldn't tell. So if you have my phone record, you could, I'm assuming, tell when the 911 call ended, because I know the 911 call was long because there were multiple, they had transferred me multiple times.
Right. My question to you is, I'd like you to listen very, very closely, and I know that it is a muffled recording by definition. I'm not going to do that. From this point forward, I want you to pay very close attention. I want to ask you if you hear a voice, very muffled, toward the end of this recording. We can play it with your permission.
Yes.
Continue watching her face.
Stop. Did you hear a muffled voice in the foreground after you heard Ms. Reed scream or yell?
I heard two people talking.
Okay. And one of those was a very muffled voice on this recording, correct?
Most of the recording was muffled.
The one I'm talking about is I just played the voice that was muffled in the foreground of the audio recording, for want of a better phrase.
Yes, I heard that, yes.
Was that you?
I don't know if that was me.
There was nobody else in the cab of the car with you, was there?
I was standing at the trunk of the car, outside of the car.
Carrie Roberts was over by Mr. O'Keefe,
Agree, yes, they were kind of running back and forth at times.
and Karen was over by Mr. O'Keefe for most of that.
Yes,
But you were the one by the car.
back and forth. Hmm.
You called Nicole, your sister. By the way, has this ended? Did we finish playing this just for? Okay, thank you.
Watch her face.
Okay, that appears to be the end of the tape.
Okay.
Okay. You called your sister at 6:07 and 42 seconds, correct?
I don't have my phone record in front of me,
Does that sound about right?
approximately.
And you made a second phone call at 6:08 and 17 seconds. Does that sound about right?
I did call her twice, yes.
And both of those calls show in your extraction that they were answered phone calls, correct?
I don't have my extraction in front of me.
Well, you've been asked this question a bunch of times, right? You
The
were asked this-
hallmark of someone who's losing an argument. Well, I don't have them in front of me. Were they answered yes or no? She already said they were never answered. Alan is claiming that they are. He's saying that the extraction of Jennifer McCabe's phone showed that they have been answered. Jennifer McCabe is like, well, show me, let me see, so I can make up an excuse as to why data says it has been answered, when in reality it was never answered. It's just, if it was just one thing, folks, if it was just one thing, this is part 6 already, and we have at least 27, by my count, of various little lies and deceptions, and it's just not a good look at all.
This question at the other proceeding, is that right?
Yes,
And
and
you were shown phone records?
well, if you have them, I could see them here.
You were shown phone records then?
Yes,
Okay. And at that time, you were confronted with the fact that the phone records show a 7-second call for 6:07, correct?
Objection.
I'm going to strike the word confronted. Go ahead and ask.
I'll pick another
Go
word.
ahead and
You
ask
were-
the
You were
question.
shown evidence that the 6:07 call lasted 7 seconds?
my sister never answered the phone.
Okay. I know you want to answer your own questions.
Yeah.
I'd like it if you'd answer my question. Were you shown records that showed the call lasted 7 seconds?
I cannot recall the exact record I was shown, but I was shown a phone record.
Okay. And you were shown that the same phone record showed that the 6:08 call lasted 8 seconds, right?
Again, I don't have it in front of me.
Does that sound about right?
About right, and there were a number of other calls that showed answered that weren't answered.
Well, we'll get to those in a minute. So the two calls.
Again, see, she's trying to control the narrative. She's trying to jump forward. Alan says, no. We're talking about your calls to your sister, the 7-second call and the 8-second call. Don't get ahead of me, lady.
At 6:07 and 6:08, at least the records indicate about 15 seconds worth of open line time, talk time. 7 seconds, 8 seconds, right?
You have the record in front of you. I don't.
I'm just asking if you were there's that word again, if you were shown records that established that based on your own phone extraction, your phone records, that the 6:07 call was a 7-second call, the 6:08 call was an 8-second call, right?
I was shown records, but I don't know exactly what they were, how long the call said, because she never answered the phone regardless.
You also made another phone call at 6:23, did you not? To Brian Albert?
If you could share my phone record, it would be very helpful.
Do you recall it?
I know I called my sister and I called my brother-in-law in the house. I do not know the exact times.
That's all I'm asking. You made a phone call to Brian Albert as well, right?
I believe so.
That was around 6:23. It was a few minutes after you had called Nicole twice, right?
Correct.
And that call was not answered.
None of them were answered.
Okay. But the record showed that call was not answered, as opposed to Nicole's two calls, right?
Right.
Okay.
So now he's got her on the ropes. You made 3 phone calls. The records show that 2 of them were answered. One of them was 7 seconds long. The other was 8 seconds long, according to the FBI extraction. He's also trying to avoid the words FBI. And number 3, the phone call to Brian Albert that came later that morning, your brother-in-law, that one was not answered, and it shows unanswered. So, again, lady, you're lying, is the implication. The jury sees right through it.
The calls to Nicole were deleted from your phone before you turned that phone into law enforcement, weren't they?
Not by me.
By somebody else?
I never deleted any calls when I willingly handed my phone over.
You claim that you didn't delete calls, but you do know that your phone was forensically analyzed, and those calls were in the deleted file folder. Correct?
Oh, busted.
I have seen that, but there were 20 calls, all in a group that were all deleted. So cherry picking a few makes it look a different way.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't delete just 2 or 3 of them. I deleted an entire cluster of 20 phone calls. Jennifer just admitted to destroying evidence, by the way.
So we'll get to those. I'm not cherry picking anything, okay? I'm asking you questions about the records.
Which I would love a copy of if I could see.
We'll get to that in a second. I'm just going by your memory. You've seen these records.
Again, she's trying to regain the control. Let me see so that I can tell you exactly what I need to tell you. But when you don't give me what I have done, I have no defense mechanism, and I don't know which lie I need to fit for which hole that you are now throwing the pegs at me at, sir. So please let me see the records so I can get my lies in order. You're not helping me.
A bunch of times. You've been questioned about these records a bunch of times, right?
Yes.
So
He's forcing her to go off memory.
we know that you called at 6:07, 6:08, or thereabouts, and about 6:23. 2 to Nicole, 1 to Brian, correct?
Correct.
And you'll agree with me that notwithstanding those phone calls, by the way, did you leave voicemails?
No.
When did you hang up? Before it went to voicemail, or was it into voicemail before you hung up?
So it was a bit of a hysterical scene that morning, and I was in a state of shock, and I was just calling my sister and my brother-in-law. They did not answer the phone. I cannot tell you when I hung up because it was a hysterical scene. I was in a state of shock. Everyone was running around, and what seems to be forgotten is that my friend was lying there on the ground.
Oh, I don't think any.
Finally, Jennifer McCabe cracks. She's tired of the constant back and forth and hoorah with Alan Jackson. So she comes up with a brilliant strategy. I was hysterical. Everything was hysterical. Everything was moving fast. I have no idea what was going on. Things were happening around me. And oh, by the way, what seems to be forgotten is that my friend, John O'Keefe, was dead on the front lawn. When you talk about friends, you don't use that tone of voice. When you're trying to subdue a subject who is refusing to cooperate with your desire to cease this cross-examination, that's the kind of attitude that you garner. Very important.
Anybody's forgotten that. You, in fact, did not leave voicemails for any of those 3 calls, did you?
Again, I don't have my phone record in front of me.
And that's because Nicole didn't get any voicemails, because the calls were answered, right?
The calls were not answered.
You do agree with me that Brian and Nicole Albert, Brian Albert being a police officer, never came out of the house, right?
Correct. Neither did any neighbor.
Again, she's continuously inserting information that is completely irrelevant to the question being asked, trying to control the narrative.
I know you'd like to continue editorializing.
Oh, there it is!
There's probably a time and a place for it. This isn't it. If you can answer my question, I'd ask that you do that. Did Brian Albert come out of the house?
No.
Did Nicole Albert come out of the house?
No.
Thank you.
Bing, bang, boom. That's it, Jennifer. Is that so hard? Apparently it is. This woman is completely incapable of being forthcoming about anything. Not even the simplest of facts. Can you imagine what the jurors' faces would have been like having to listen to all of this? I would have been squirming in my chair for her. Like, for the love of God, lady, can you get your shit together? She is incapable. She is completely incapable. And thank goodness that she's unable to maintain her lies. Thank goodness she is letting us know who she really is and what her role really was in the cover-up of John O'Keefe's murder. And I'm hoping that this is going to help Karen walk free. So thank you all for joining me. I really appreciate it. I hope you all learned something today. Today has been a little bit more somber, as you can tell. We listened to the tape. It's really hard. Even, you could probably tell in my face, I'm just a little bit absorbed by the tape itself. It's a murder trial at the end of the day. We all are aware of that, but we got the wrong person in the hot seat, meaning the defendant's seat. The McCalberts are trying to cover up a murder of a police officer, a friend, they call him. He was all but a friend. And it's really sad. It is really, really sad. We will continue this series. So don't forget to join us tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. And I will see you all in the next video. Bye, everybody.